Hudson County View, live and uncut. I'm your host, the man of the hour, too sweet to be sour, John Arhitis. And today we have, of course, as always, the latest and greatest in Hudson County news. Soon we will be sitting down with all three members of the Jersey City Board of Education slate, known as Education Matters. That's the team backed by the Jersey City Education Association. As you know, we sat down with their opponents, the Change for Children team, a couple weeks ago. So now we're going to let them have a platform to speak about this upcoming November 3rd election. As you guys are well aware, that's being contested primarily via vote by mail ballots. So we're going to have a chance to speak with all three of those candidates. We're also going to discuss a number of other happenings here at Hudson. There's a latest development here regarding the Bayonne Medical Center. We have Assemblyman Nick Travolati and State Senator Joe Vitale reaching out to the New Jersey Department of Health, issuing a plea for them to get involved with real estate transactions pertaining to this deal. So we're going to see what they had to say, as well as what the health department's response was. There's also a lot going on in Jersey City and Hoboken, as always. We're going to have a few things about the municipal governments happening there. In particular, we're going to be talking about the Jersey City Master Plan, as well as what happened with a special meeting in Hoboken. So before we get to any of that, though, we're going to hear a couple words from our sponsors.
Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, Jersey City. Hudson County's only monument maker, serving all faiths and cemeteries. Design studio and large inventory on site. Cemetery inscriptions and custom orders welcome. Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, just south of Secaucus Road. Craftsmanship that will last for all eternity. Burns Brothers, Jersey City, Albert H. Hopper, North Arlington. Visit us on the net. Consumer Carpets, 3408 Kennedy Boulevard in the Jersey City Heights, your one-stop store for residential and commercial floor treatments, carpeting, linoleum, tiles, laminates, hardwood floors, area rugs, remnants, all major brands, all in stock. Free estimates, same-day installation. Consumer Carpets, it's savings, selection, installation. Credit cards and debit cards accepted. Financing available. Consumer Carpets, price to fit your budget, installation to fit your schedule. On the net at consumercarpets.com. Consumer Carpets, Jersey City, 201-792-2712.
Good Friend Self-Storage in North Bergen, New Jersey is a fully climate-controlled facility equipped with state-of-the-art security, packing supplies, a Refer Friend program, and multiple loading docks convenient for commercial use. Located just off of Route 3 at 4301 Tunley Avenue, Route 1 and 9. Call 201-867-2444 or visit us on the web today. Good Friend Self-Storage. Let us be your good friend.
The Jersey City Medical Center. You know it for its award-winning, life-saving ambulance service. It's also your health hub, with health and wellness locations staffed with certified professionals all through Hudson County. The Jersey City Medical Center, here to help you with your healthy, here when you need us the most. The Jersey City Medical Center. Visit us on the net to learn more. Jersey City Medical Center, Robert Wood Johnson, Barnabas Health Facility. Let's be healthy together.
Newport, the luxury waterfront community on the Hudson River, offers the quality of life you deserve in 10 high-rise rental towers with amenities such as the on-site Newport Path subway, light rail and ferry service, Newport Town Square, 3 playgrounds, dog run, upscale restaurants, retail giants like Sears, JCPenney, Macy's, and Target. Morton Williams Supermarket is just outside your front door. A health and fitness club, spa, skating rink, and medical facilities are also on site. NewportNJ.com. Enjoy the New York skyline from Newport Town Square. Manhattan is just one path stop away or quick ride through the Holland Tunnel. Nursery and private elementary schools all on site. 12-screen movie theater at the Newport Center Mall. Want to visit Newport? Stay at the Westin or Marriott Hotel. Go to NewportNJ.com for details. Newport has luxurious towers, great restaurants, shopping, New York skyline views, schools, playgrounds, a marina and yacht club, gym, spa, fine wine, fine living. It's incredible. It's you. NewportNJ.com. Newport, live like you want.
Hudson County View, live and uncut. I'm your host, John Arhitis, and as promised, we're joined with Education Matters. First, we'll be speaking with Jersey City Board of Education President Lorenzo Richardson. Mr. President, thank you for joining us. Great to see you.
Same here. Thank you.
Sure. Now, as you guys are probably all aware, we had the Change for Children team, the opposition ticket, in the studio just 2 weeks ago, and they had a lot of bold statements to make, as you, again, probably saw. Now, the first thing that they said is during this public health emergency, they felt that there was a failure in leadership at the board. They felt there were too many missed opportunities in terms of when the schools open versus reopen versus remote learning versus hybrid learning, so on and so forth. So just what's your thoughts on how the current board has handled this pandemic?
Well, I think one of the main things that everyone needs to understand is that the superintendent and his administration, they set the stage for all of those logistics. However, the board has been asked to support those things, and so we publicly have supported that. The reopening plan is a comprehensive plan, but of course we know as things happen on a day-to-day basis, the situation changes. So you may say you're opening, then all of a sudden you're not reopening. We see that happening with districts all over the state and all over the country. So that's nothing new when it comes to having some patience and knowing that everything is going to be fluid on a day-to-day basis based on the health situation.
So yeah, we got to follow the science, which is what everyone that's paying attention is saying for the most part, right? Now, the current plan, if I'm not mistaken, is to reopen with some sort of in-person learning November 16th, I believe was the day. Is that still the plan today? Again, we know it's fluid, it could change. But as of now, is that still the plan?
Well, the initial plan that was set by the administration was for after the first marking period. And so at that time, that would be the proposed reopening for hybrid at that time, which I believe is November 17th.
Okay, 17th. All right. Now, another thing that they talked about when they were here was they were talking about failure in leadership in terms of the budget. You know, obviously, there was a pretty significant school board tax increase this year. You have spoken out quite frequently about state funding and some of the challenges, too, with the city funding. So just what do you say to that criticism?
Well, the criticism goes to the past because it was past leadership that created this problem. I mean, you had 30 years under the state. They didn't properly fund the schools. They didn't properly take care of the schools. And then you also had no funding coming from the city. And now you have funding coming from the state. So where's the failed leadership? It's not on the district. The district is making sure that the funds are sufficiently there to take care of the children. However, we're addressing the state. Of course, there's litigation going on with that. And then, of course, on the local level, I've been advocating at city council meetings, letting them know what the situation is and what their obligations are.
Sure, yeah, I've definitely seen that. Yeah, that's no secret. You've been doing that for many months, if not maybe a couple years already at this point. So another thing that we've seen this mostly in their mailers, a little bit on their social media. They said that the JCEA and the current board supports corruption. And they talk about the former candidate, the former president, Sudan Thomas, and they talk about your discipline from the state. So what do you think when you see this kind of messaging from the opposition?
Well, one, the discipline is something that is proposed and it hasn't been imposed yet. So that is something that is being disputed because it is incorrect. In terms of the situation with corruption, I mean, there's no corruption in this administration, there's no corruption in this board. And so we're doing our job and we're trying to make sure we do everything right. Now, it may get a little messy. Sometimes you argue over some things, and there's been some issues around communication, which we've been very transparent and public about. But that's only because of things happening in situations that you come across at a moment's notice, and sometimes they're surprises. Unfortunately, sometimes that's how it goes. But at the end of the day, we're addressing those issues appropriately, and we're taking them head on, and we're dealing with them.
All right. And Mr. Board President, when parents, teachers, and really just any voter is looking at the November 3rd mail-in ballot and they have the choice between these 6 candidates, why should they select the Education Matters team this time around?
Well, I mean, we're all been involved. We're all been involved in the board meetings as opposed to our candidates. We also have the knowledge and the know-how of being on the board. And if you look at what's been happening at the board, there's been a lot of great feedback about how we do additional work with parent engagement. And my colleagues will talk about that as they come on. And then you also have what we've been doing in terms of the budget. 3 straight years, no major layoffs, and a balanced budget. I mean, with 71 million, 100 million, and well over 100 million this year. And so we're doing the job, and no one has done that historically. So we're doing things that have never been done before, that are historic and massive in nature, and we're still getting the job done and making sure students are getting their learning, because that is our goal, to make sure that students educational needs are being met.
Very good. Jersey City Board of Education President Lorenzo Richardson, thanks for joining us.
Thank
We're going
you.
to be back with one of your running mates right after this break.
Most women who give birth recover without problems, but any woman can have complications after the birth of a baby. Learn the post-birth warning signs, such as fever, headache, chest pain, shortness of breath, increased bleeding, or thoughts of hurting yourself or someone else. Knowing these can save your life or the life of someone that you love. Trust your instincts. If you feel something is wrong, call and get evaluated by your healthcare provider. If your symptoms get worse or you do not hear back from your physician, call 911 or go to the nearest emergency room.
RWJ Barnabas Health. Let's be healthy together.
Pen and Pencil Properties, Jersey City. Shaping the workplace with state-of-the-art office spaces that address your company desires. Building residences that define your home environment, adjacent to all modes of transportation with on-site parking available. The right address, the right lease. Call 201-521-9000 or visit online at penandpencilproperties.com. Pen and Pencil Properties, building Jersey City for everyone.
Hudson County View, live and uncut, John Arhitis, and now I'm joined with Jersey City Board of Education Trustee LaKendrick Shaw. LaKendrick, thanks for coming in.
Hey, John, thanks for having me and my team.
Of course, no problem.
Honored to be here.
All right, great to hear.
Yeah.
So look, not to be repetitive, but you've seen through these virtual debates, and you probably saw through our interview that was 2 weeks ago,
Sure.
the other team continues to say similar messaging throughout. They've said, again, the COVID planning was lackluster at best. They say the budget was managed poorly. And those are the two biggest talking points that I've seen. And we also spoke about the alleged corruption with the board president. So what do you think when you're talking about these topics throughout the debate, when you're talking to voters and you're just trying to get your message out there?
I think the biggest thing we should start with is looking at the facts around some of the statements the opposing slate has put out there, which is cash for corruption. As my colleague just referred, there's no fiber within this current board and my running team where there's an issue with ethics and where we're clear above board. Obviously, to sit on the school board, you got to go through a background check, which we've all passed. So no issues there. And in terms of character, we're all great. We're involved in the neighborhood, whether it be me with my small business, or whether it be the work with Lorenzo and his church and his community, or whether it be the advocacy work Gina does with parents. And John, we're running against a slate that's willing to say anything to get elected, and I think that's evident in the fact that one of the candidates said that their campaign consists of donations from small business owners and residents of the city. But if you look at their most recent elect report, they got campaign contributions coming from as far as Delaware, and a lot of the campaign contributions from the LLCs are real estate based, and I think it's important because they were real estate backed at one point by LeFrak, who has some connection or some nexus to Trump.
So the fact that the Ferry, New Jersey Super PAC isn't directly involved this time around, you feel has no difference, no bearing? Absolutely
not. And directly, indirectly, I think that's just a word play, but there's some form of assistance there.
Now, at the last meet and greet, the virtual forum, I saw they called on you, at least one of the members called on you guys to disavow any super PAC, which would include Garden State Forward. So for those that missed it, could you just, enlighten us on what you said to that?
Sure, there's the PAC play, good PAC versus good PAC. I'll say this, you got to look at the interest behind some of these PACs and some of these organizations, because I'm sure as a guy like our board race last election was the most expensive board of education race in the state. Correct. So there has to be resources from an organizational level at play. But I think you got to look at the character of some of these organizations. And our organization is teacher-based. It's no secret with NJEA, JCEA involved, but that's teachers. And the teachers is the bread and butter of the classroom. And the teachers are the ones who deal with the parents and interact with the parents who are the voters. So I think it's a one-to-one thing. But when we go to these other PACs and we start looking at some of their industries, it's real estate backed. So you got to scratch your head and wonder, what's the play for real estate to be involved in the Board of Education race? So we all think, and it's nothing but greed, or sometimes privatizing, or sometimes simply put, taking over our district where they have no vested interest.
All right, so on the policy level for a moment, so obviously in March the schools closed, but for the most districts in New Jersey, they've remained closed. Jersey City, of course, one of them. So just tell us about the COVID preparation and just as the board president was speaking to, just how this is a fluid process and how you've been trying to engage the community, the students, the teachers, so on and so forth.
So Gina and I, Gina's the chair of the parent committee and I'm the co-chair of the parent committee. We started that committee with, I want to say, give or take 20 to 25 parents, which that's swelled to about 50 parents. In fact, we have a call today, and we're just listening to feedback. And also what you see from the administrative side is they're listening to feedback too. So obviously, as my colleague mentioned earlier, we're not perfect, and we're not saying we're 100% excellent. However, what we are demonstrating, what you will look for in leadership, is we listen. And we have an active and nimble approach. Some the opposing slate, I listen to them say we're not active, we're reactive, but we've outlined steps such as us being active in the state that Gina and I, we're touring facilities, Lorenzo as well, he's touring facilities, and also, we're making accommodations such as there was a press that went out that said teachers were returning the 26th, but that was clarified, and then further communication went into that. So we're listening and we're active. We're not just reactive, we're active as well.
All right, and I mean, you kind of touched on it a little bit already, but like I asked your colleague, just why do you think that Education Matters is the clear-cut best choice November 3rd?
Obviously, Jersey City Public Schools historically was, it could have used a little bit of help, but the turnover and leadership didn't help. And I feel like we're consistently attacking institutional issues that, as my colleague mentioned earlier, was always neglected, and we're taking a proactive and a real smart, intelligent look at these things. So I think to keep us on the board, it allows us to continue to make those investments where, we're investing in the budget and not decreasing the budget and laying folks off, such as critical staff, such as our teachers.
Very good. Trustee LeKendrick-Shaw, thanks for joining us. Best of luck. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back. Just one more word from our sponsors, and we'll be joined by his running mate.
You know those times when you need to see the doctor, but you just can't get to the doctor? So where do you go? Go to the App Store, download the Telemed app from RWJ Barnabas Health, and you see the doctor right away. From any mobile device, whenever you want, wherever you are.
Quality care, no appointment necessary. The doctor is online when you download the Telemed app.
Don't you feel better already?
RWJ Barnabas Health. Let's be healthy together.
Stevens Jersey City Ford, located right off of NJ 440 North. Across the Hudson Mall is your one-stop for all your automotive needs. Check out Ford's latest models like the 2020 Ford Fusion with its stylish looks and hybrid options, or the unparalleled high-performance 2020 Ford Mustang. The 2020 Ford F-150 Raptor is ready for those rugged off-road terrains with trail control. Need a mid-sized truck for your towing and hauling? The 2020 Ford Ranger will deliver. The 2020 Ford Escape is a luxury SUV that was made for comfort and adventure on the go. Returning is Ford's legendary Bronco, which takes you back to the true meaning of off-roading. They are now available for pre-order in our showroom or on our website. Let us help you find your next vehicle. Stevens Jersey City Ford, 201-432-7272.
Hudson County View, live and uncut. I'm your host, John Arhides, and I'm joined with the Jersey City Board of Education Vice President Gina Vertabello. Gina, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
Sure, no problem. So I think one thing that we haven't touched on yet today was obviously when the Education Matters team was going head-to-head with Change for Children, there were independent candidates, and obviously there was no pandemic, right? This year, pretty much everything has been relegated to virtual, and there's no independent candidates, and the fundraising obviously is not as robust for that reason. So just tell me, being a part of both of these teams, just, when you're doing a compare and contrast and you're kind of like reflecting, what do you think about these two races?
Well, it's hard to compare and contrast when one is a pandemic versus a non-pandemic. I mean, the money's still the same in some ways, but the fact that we don't have that much. But then you add on the other parts of it where we have to get the buildings ready for students to come back, which added another layer of chaos because the vents had to be checked and we had to get PPE and we had to get all these things and computers for all our students. So it wasn't something that we, obviously knew it was going to happen. We knew that the budget was going to be an issue to begin with, but then you added this layer on top of it. So it was just, and I think that's why we're doing a good job in that sense of leadership, that we're not, like LeKendrick was saying earlier, that we are being very proactive. So.
All right, so look, I mean, compared to last year, this is kind of child's play, right? I mean, in terms of the actual, I guess we'll call it face punching for lack of a better term, but it wouldn't be a Hudson County election if there wasn't a little brawl for all, right? So, we already talked about it, Link. I don't want to be too repetitive, but just what are your feelings on what you've seen and what you've heard at these virtual meet and greets and other forums where all you guys have been together?
Well, I mean, I just feel like the other team doesn't have a lot of substance. I don't think they understand what it is to be a board member on this board. I've been at board meetings for many, many years, been following what's been happening, who the people are, touring schools. Even when I wasn't a board member, I was still getting into schools and making things aware, as in the sense of facilities. Mm-hmm. And now as a board member, it's been nice to be able to go to tour facilities with principals and vice principals and getting to understand what the real issues are and how we can help. So I don't understand this whole, all the stuff that they throw at us. It's not true. A lot of it is just, smoke. And I just feel like, we're doing really good work right now. We want to continue doing the work that we started, especially for me. I was appointed in 2019 and was elected in 2020. I still want more time to continue the work that I started back in 2013.
So, yeah, at that point, look, I already have asked why you guys think you're the best choice. So let me instead ask you, what would be some goals you have for the next 3 years? Obviously, besides the obvious COVID situation, but beyond that, what are some goals you have if elected to another term here?
Well, the goal is to get out of this issue with the funding, because the funding is huge. We can't do anything until we fix the funding. Without money, we're not going to be able to fix our facilities or to do the things that we really want to do. So we have to come up with a solution. We talked about this the other day in one of our meetings where we need to start talking. We should have started talking about this years ago in strategic plans. This was coming down the pike. We knew we were getting local control back, but we didn't know that the state was going to take all the money with them. So the question is, how do you go from here? What do? You have to, the students need all these things. They need their teachers, they need, their books and all those things, and we have to provide that. And the state has to help us provide that. So it's just really important to make sure that we have access to money to be able to provide for all the 38,000 kids in the district. And more, because charter schools are closing and we're getting those kids too. So it's just, a continuous ball of things going on, and it's amazing what Mr. Walker's doing, considering this is like his first year as superintendent and all these things are happening at the same time, and he's doing it with grace.
So you would push back pretty strongly on these accusations that leadership has failed and duties have been neglected.
Of course, yes. I think, Board President Lawrence Richardson's been doing a really great job keeping the peace. We all, like he said, sometimes we have disagreements, but we're 9 people of different backgrounds and stuff. And I myself am a parent of 3 kids, so, I come from a different perspective as maybe like Marilyn Roman, who's an educator in the district. And so we all come with different pieces and parts, but at the end of the day, we all passed that budget, including the Change for Children people that were elected last year. So what does that tell you? That the leadership that Mr. Walker put out there for us, we followed it. We said, okay, we're putting this in your hands, do it. We're giving you this opportunity to do it, run and do it. And I'm glad that we did. We're in this pandemic that we needed that money. We needed to hire custodians. We needed to hire nurses. We needed to hire more teachers. So in a way, when is there a good time to fund your school? When is it time for the children to get the things that they need?
Very good. Jersey City Board of Education Vice President Gina Vertebello. Gina, thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Education Matters. Thank you, everyone, for watching. We're not done yet. We're going to take one more word from our sponsors. We'll be right back.
Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, Jersey City. Hudson County's only monument maker, serving all faiths and cemeteries. Design, studio, and large inventory on site. Cemetery inscriptions and custom orders welcome. Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, just south of Secaucus Road. Craftsmanship that will last for all eternity. Burns Brothers, Jersey City, Albert H. Hopper, North Arlington. Visit us on the net. Consumer Carpets, 3408 Kennedy Boulevard in the Jersey City Heights, your one-stop store for residential and commercial floor treatments, carpeting, linoleum, tiles, laminates, hardwood floors, area rugs, remnants, all major brands, all in stock. Free estimates, same-day installation. Consumer Carpets, it's savings, selection, installation. Credit cards and debit cards accepted. Financing available. Consumer Carpets, price to fit your budget, installation to fit your schedule. On the net at consumercarpets.com. Consumer Carpets, Jersey City, 201-792-2712.
Hudson County View live and uncut, John R. Highness. So obviously we're running a little short on time here, so I just got to do two quick topics before we call it a day. So first of all, as I mentioned at the top of the program, we saw Bayonne Assemblyman and Bayonne Assemblyman Nick Travelati and State Senator Joe Vitale of the 19th District sent a letter back in September to the New Jersey Department of Health calling for them to oversee the real estate transactions at the Bayonne Medical Center. So let me just read a quick excerpt there. So they said, in the absence of diligent review at the outset of these purchases, the state is leaving the land hospitals sit on in the hands of obscure ownership structures that in many instances obfuscate any future efforts to regulate them. All we know about them are the LLC names they use and the legal gamesmanship they so often play on the state to block oversight efforts. Whether the department has historically used its oversight powers is irrelevant. The state has not historically encountered what we see unfolding in relation to Bayonne Medical Center. The reality is that the decision not to exercise the department's power exposes the New Jersey healthcare system to vulnerability. We are asking the department to reverse this inaction and exercise its full powers. So, as you guys know, this is something that's been ongoing, not a couple days, couple weeks, but a few months. Since June, Hudson Regional Hospital and BMC Hospital LLC have been sparring very publicly about who will be able to take over CarePoint Health's 3 facilities, but the one that has been the focal point for these 2 entities has been the Bayonne Medical Center. So I did ask the New Jersey Department of Health for comment, and I got one, but it wasn't particularly extensive. All I heard back from spokeswoman Donna Lausner was the department has received the letter and the matter is under review. So I think it's safe to say that this is probably going to stretch through the end of 2020, if not longer. So we will certainly keep you posted. The other thing that I wanted to touch on before we call it a day is that there is actually a feud brewing, really already underway, between the Hoboken Board of Education and the Hoboken Charter Schools. The reason being is 77 Jackson Street payment in lieu of taxes deal. Now, this was something that was introduced back in 2016. It was ultimately approved by the council in 2017. And now Mayor Ravi Bala has said that his interpretation of the language is that only the Board of Education will be able to benefit from these pilot revenues. However, the charter schools strongly disagree. So, like I said, I wish we had a little bit more time here, but in short, we could see that the Board of Ed said, simply put, granting monies from the pilot payments for 77 Jackson Street to the charter schools ignores the legal process by which charter schools are funded in New Jersey. This isn't an issue for the Hoboken City Council to determine, nor does it represent any cut or reduction in funding to the 3 charter districts. So this controversy started last week after, like I just touched on, Mayor Bala sent out a Nixle alert that said the pilot deal has no effect on the charter schools. Obviously, they don't agree with that assessment. So in their own email blast, we saw the charter schools talk about disseminating inaccuracies. And what they said is if the funds are not shared, the Hoboken BOE will be effectively lowering per pupil funding for all of Hoboken's 1,000 charter school students. Locking public charter schools out of any revenue stream intended to replace an existing revenue stream that is currently shared with charter schools will further the charter district funding inequality. This is a result of the collective charter community cannot accept on behalf of our students and staff. So clearly this is developing, and this is probably going to take up a significant portion of next week's council meeting, and that's going to be October 21st at 7 p.m. That will convene via Zoom, and it will stream live on the City of Hoboken's Facebook page. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you tuning in as always. Don't forget, we'll be back tonight at 6 o'clock for a special debate for the Jersey City Ward D Council race. I'll see you then. Take care.